to Splash Studio Online. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to be taking you step by step through this lovely painting we call Neon Vacation. My name is Alyssa and I'm going to be helping you guys through each and every step to get through this. This is supposed to be very relaxing, a very fun activity to do. So make sure you guys have your kits. If you have paint at home, feel free to also follow along. Does not matter. But basically, I'm going to be taking you step by step through this painting. We'll be taking a few breaks in between, so feel free to pause the video at any point of time throughout that. But first off, I'm going to go through all of the materials that you guys should have. So you all should have gotten a lovely canvas. This is 11 by 14. The original painting is on a bigger size canvas, but who doesn't want a little mini version of that? Also, you guys are going to get a set of brushes with a rag wrapped around them. Those are all very important. So your first brush should be a large flat brush. You're going to have a slightly smaller one. Then you're going to have a larger round brush, and then a smaller one that we like to call our detail brush. So to start off, you're actually going to want to put those in a water cup. Whether you have your own special water cup or you've received one from Splash, feel free to put those in there right away. You guys are all going to need a palette. Once again, if you have a very fancy palette that you would like to use, go ahead and do that. But I'm just going to use a good old paper plate palette. You guys should have also received some paint in the kits. If at any point you want to change the colors in this painting, feel free to. It does not have to be the exact same colors. I'm just going to be personally showing you what the original painting is done with. But you guys should have all of your paint. I'm pretty sure they probably came in these little nice handy dandy containers. You guys can, throughout the session, kind of mix your paint onto your palette. You don't have to put it all on here right away. It's completely up to you. Like I said, this should be a stress-free painting, very relaxing. We're going to have a great time painting this. Alright guys, so to start off this painting, we are going to want to locate our large flat brush. So like I said, that should be the largest brush that we have. You're going to want to dry it off just a little bit on your rag. And we're going to start off by mixing a purple color. So pretty much what we're doing is we're kind of differentiating between the horizon of the sky and the water. They're going to be the exact same colors, but what makes them different is kind of the texture. As you can see, the sky, a little bit more smooth brush strokes than the water. It's a little more choppy, kind of a little more free with your brush strokes. So to start off, like I said, we're going to start with a dark purple and kind of gradually work our way into the colors. So to make purple, we are going to be using red and blue. So I would like to say equal parts red and blue. I'm just going to find a spot on my palette and kind of mix that up. And you'll kind of see once you start mixing the color, you'll realize, oh, I either need to add a little more blue or I need to add a little bit more red. It's all kind of an experiment when painting, it always is. But that's kind of the fun of it, because sometimes you might get a color that you would not have expected, and if you just go for it, you might end up liking the results. So once we kind of have a purple mixed up, it can be as bright as you want or as dark as you want. Mine's a little bit darker, but we're going to start with kind of the sky, and I'm just kind of going to fill the top part of my canvas, just going back and forth, big brush strokes. And if you want to get a different texture, you can feel free to do whatever you'd like. I'm just focused on, like I said, filling in that top part of my canvas with the dark purple. And you can go as far down as you want, as you can kind of see in the painting. You know, it hits a certain point where then it transitions into the red and then the orange. So kind of just pick a point on your canvas where you want that to happen. And you can kind of leave some spots open too to kind of blend your colors in as we go down. So I think I'm going to stop there for my sky, but now I'm going to start focusing on where I want this purple in the water. So it's kind of going to be a little bit opposite, because if you can see on the painting down here, the dark purple is more towards the bottom, and then it gets lighter as it goes on because of the lighting in the painting. But if you look at the sky, it goes dark to light, and then the water, like I said, goes light to dark. So we're gonna start doing some purple more towards the bottom now, and I'm actually going to switch brushes. If you want, you can continue to use the same brush, but anytime you're not using one of your brushes, feel free to just stick it back into the water cup. So I'm actually going to be grabbing my larger round brush, just to kind of differentiate the brush strokes. It kind of helps a little bit. You might have to make a little bit more purple. I know that I do. So once you have a purple mixed up again, we can start adding in some texture to the water. So it's gonna look a little weird at first until we start adding more colors. But for these brush strokes, like I said, they're gonna be more quick, a little bit more loose. So we're kind of just, like I said, gonna start at the bottom, do some very quick brush strokes. And you can kind of do these throughout. They don't have to be kind of as consistent as you did the sky. But we're just gonna kind of stick to the bottom half again. If you have an easel like this at home or something else, feel free to move that. Make sure your entire canvas is covered in paint. Alright guys, so once you think you have enough purple on your canvas, we're going to start switching to the next color. But if at any point you're like, oh, I really need more purple in this area, feel free to add some more. But we're going to move on to putting some red in the sky and the water now. So you can just grab that large flat brush again that was in the water. And now this is kind of up to you on what you want to do, because some people like to leave the brush a little bit wet so it kind of streaks a little better in the sky. But otherwise you can feel free to kind of dry it off a bit too. But you're just going to go right into your red paint, and you're going to start transitioning it into the purple that we already put. So the purple should already be wet still. So you're kind of just gradually mixing it into the purple. And as you can see, I'm kind of adding it in some spots that I had some white in there. But this is really just you kind of filling in spots where you want that red. And like I said with the purple, you can kind of go down as far as you'd like. If you're thinking of doing a different color, you can definitely switch that at any point of time. But we're basically going to be going back and forth these next few steps, just going with the sky and the water. So once you kind of think you have enough red in your sky, once again I'm going to leave some spots open. You can feel free to then jump to the water section, and you can grab that medium round brush again, go through that, see where you want some red. Alrighty guys, so if you're ready for the next color, we are now going to transition into an orange. So once again, you guys should already be experts at this. Using your large flat brush, go straight into that orange color. And once again, transition kind of starting into the red and working your way down. Now orange is kind of almost the last color that we have to add to this until we kind of add some more highlights towards the end of the painting. So you're kind of making orange your last color, but what I will suggest is that it does get very light. So if you kind of want to do a layer of just straight up orange, you can do that and then kind of transition into a light orange. By doing that, all you have to do is add a little bit of white to your orange paint and you'll achieve kind of a lighter orange color, which just kind of helps because this is kind of a sunset painting. You do want it to gradually get lighter as it goes, like there is a sun peeking behind the islands in the background. So you can feel free to make that light orange color once you kind of have the desired amount of orange, the normal orange to your sky. So I'll just show you guys real quick that by adding just a tiny bit of whites to your orange paint, which you really do not need a whole lot, but just a bit of white paint to the orange. Once again, you're going to transition, and as you can tell, the orange looks a little bit lighter. It just kind of is a nice blend towards the bottom. You'll kind of see once you hit that bottom point where your sky touches your water, that is going to be your horizon line. It's okay if you have more sky than water, if you have more water than sky, because we are still adding in the island, so that's going to take up a big part of this painting. So feel free to kind of just make a little point as to where you want to stop the sky from the water. But like I said, just kind of keep going with the oranges wherever you want them. You can even kind of pull them back up through your painting too if you want them a little more in your red or in your purple areas. And then once again, taking the medium round brush, using the same orange, and then just adding that throughout your water. So like I said, you will see a few other colors within this painting. There's some yellows, there's some pinks, there's some black, and those are all going to be added towards the end of the painting just to kind of give it more of a highlight. We're just adding the main colors for now. So as to review, purple, orange, and red. You can put those in any order if you want. But just continue to work on your sky and your water, filling in spots. You can leave some spots open if you want. Kind of depends on you, how you want your water to look. And like I said, we will be adding some more shades. So don't get too worried or too stressed out about trying to fill every single spot in, because we will come back to it. Alrighty guys, so once you think you have enough colors in your sky and your water, making sure that the sky and water do look different from each other, you guys are going to want to take a little bit of a break. I would say give yourself about 10 or so minutes to let everything completely dry before we add some more things in the foreground. This is acrylic paint, so it does not take super long to dry, but at this point of time, kind of just feel out your painting, see what maybe more you need to add, if you need to add some more purple in an area or some more red. Get the background to where you want it to be before we move on to our next step. guys, welcome back from the break. We are now going to be starting to do our palm trees and islands. So these are all going to be in black, so we don't have to worry about any other colors. But to start off, we're actually going to want to use our medium round brush that we've been using. So you're going to want to make sure you rinse that pretty well in your water cup. Dry it off a bit. This is kind of the fun part because you get to decide where you want your islands, how big you want them, how far you want them to stretch. Same with the palm trees, you can add as many or as few as you want. This is your painting, and I hope yours looks different from this one. I hope yours looks different than mine. Everyone's is going to look different, and that is the beauty about painting. So what we're going to do is we are going to take solid black. Once again, finding a little spot on my palette just to kind of place the black on there. So now your horizon line is where we want to look first. So this is where kind of the base of the little islands start. So your land masses can kind of go into your water a bit. They can be completely straight if you want. This is completely up to you. But I'm just gonna start left from right, and I'm kind of just gonna make some curved lines on each side. So I did it on the left, and I'm gonna go on the right side, once again looking at my horizon. Maybe it kind of dips down into the water a little bit. You're kind of gonna want to focus on where you want these lines to kind of come on each side, and then once you establish that, you can kind of meet in the middle and connect it. So like I said, this can be a straight line if you want. It can be very curved. It's completely up to you. You might kind of realize that you need to adjust some things, as you continue on with the painting. But once you kind of have the horizon line broken up, it makes it a little bit easier to start actually making these mountains. So obviously this painting is way, way bigger than this canvas that we have here. But keeping that in mind, you're going to want to make these kind of land masses starting once again. I like to start left from right. And you're kind of just making these weird little like rock shapes. You don't have to fill them in quite just yet. But you're basically just building off of that line that you had. And you kind of want to make the rocks, or the land, whatever you want to call it, you want it to make it a little bit higher on the ends, and then keeping it more low towards the horizon line in the middle. And yours is going to, like I said, look very different from this painting, from that painting, but this is all up to you as to where you want to put them. Once you kind of have these shapes established, then you're going to want to go ahead and fill them in with the solid black. Alright guys, so once you think you know exactly where you want your land and you have it placed out perfectly, we are going to continue using black, and we're going to start making our palm trees. So I'm going to show you a very simple way of making a palm tree, because I feel like a lot of people get a little bit stressed out when it comes to trees and paintings. So we're going to be doing this very easy. We're going to use that same brush that we had, the medium round brush. And like I said, you can add as many palm trees as you want, but to pretty much get started, I'm going to pick a spot and I'm going to make a very simple line. And it can curve if you want, it can be straight if you want, but that is basically going to be kind of the base of the palm tree. You can make it as thick as you want as well, or as skinny. Just make sure you kind of save enough room on the top because you will be adding the leaves and everything like that. So we're going to start by making just those lines. So I'm going to add one maybe right here. Maybe it curves a little bit up. And then I'm gonna add one more off over here. I'll make this one a little bit more straight. As you can kind of tell, it gets harder to see the tops of the trees just because you have that dark purple, which is kind of nice because then you don't really have to stress about, getting everything perfectly. Everything is kind of blended. This is a sunset type of painting. So once you guys have that base of the tree, we're going to start adding tops. So these are going to kind of look like spiders for a little bit until we actually add more of the leaves of the palm. So if you also want to add coconuts, now would be the time to do so. But basically, you're going to want to kind of make some little shapes on top and make 3 little circles. They're kind of filled in. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but those are going to be your coconuts if you want them. You could maybe leave some trees without them. It's kind of up to you. But like I said, I'm just making like 3 circles. Maybe you want your palm tree to have only 2 coconuts. Once again, up to you. But then once you have that, you guys are going to want to start adding in your actual branches to your tree. So I'm actually going to switch to my smallest brush because this just makes it a little bit easier to control. Still with the black. Now we're going to be kind of making that spider shape that I was talking about. And you can add as many as you'd like, but basically once you have those little coconut or whatever shape on top of your tree, you're going to start by adding kind of spider-like looking legs. And you're going to put these all around your tree. So some of them can kind of branch out more than others, but it's almost kind of like a hook shape. And you're just going to focus on putting those all around each tree. So I think I'm going to put around probably like between 6 and 8 of them. Kind of depends how big you made your trees. But they're all kind of drooping downwards. So you don't really want to put your branches kind of going straight up everywhere because that doesn't exactly look like a tree. So that's why I said kind of make it look like a spider for right now. That kind of helps to envision the whole palm tree aesthetic. But once again, I'm going to work on the next tree. And as you can see, I'm sure you can kind of see where my branches are going. Like I said, it is a little bit hard just because we do have such a dark purple in the sky. And it's okay if your branches overlap at all. That's good. Continue to keep adding those. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit better view. Just take my canvas off. So as you guys can see, I just put a few on each of the trees. They look a little scary right now, but they're about to look way better with this next step. So if yours look like this, you are on the right track. Alright guys, so for this next step, we are going to be adding some leaves to our branches. So they don't look so scary looking like spiders. But sticking with the black paint and sticking with our smallest brush. So we're going to be basically doing what we just did, except you're going to be adding really tiny little leaves to each of the little branches that you put onto your tree. So we're going to be using the same method of kind of keeping it downwards. You want to kind of think of putting your leaves facing down towards your horizon line when you are making the brush strokes. So you're just going to do very quick little motions on each of the little black branches that you have, going down. They don't have to be completely neat, they can be kind of messy, but you're just focusing on putting a bunch of different sizes of leaves on your palm tree. Like I said, try and make them all be facing downwards. They can overlap. and I will show you guys mine up close once I am done. So once you guys have your palm trees done, they should look something like this. As I was saying, all of my leaves are kind of pointed downwards. For this one, they're definitely a little bit more full on each side. You guys can feel free to see once you kind of have this established where you need to add more leaves. You can definitely add them on both sides. I like to just kind of start off by doing the ones towards the bottom of the branches. But now you can continue your trees by adding some on the top layers of those branches and just kind of seeing, you know, where you want more. Alrighty guys, so once you are finished with your trees, we are going to add a little bit of black to the water before we start adding in all of the highlights and some of the clouds in the background. So I'm going to switch to my medium round brush actually, but if you want to use another brush for the step, you guys definitely can. We're going to jump right back into our water and we're going to add some spots of black to it. So you're kind of just doing the exact same thing you were doing. However, I would advise that you kind of make smaller gestures towards the top where your islands are, and then gradually get a little bit larger with your brush strokes. So what I mean by that is I kind of just like to make some little dash marks towards the top where the islands are. So very small, very quick little brush strokes. And then when I get to the bottom of the painting, I'm going to start adding a little bit longer ones like we were doing. This is just kind of breaking up the water just a little bit more. This is going to be obviously the darkest color within our water, so don't add a whole lot, but you're going to want to add a good amount still too. So once you think you have enough black on your painting, we are going to jump into doing some of the highlights and adding some clouds. So you could have done the cloud step before you did your palm trees, but I'm actually going to add them in last just because I like to place them out after I kind of have my main thing in the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix up a light yellow color. So I am actually going to take my smallest brush, just because we are working with a smaller canvas. So I'm going to take some yellow paint and I'm going to mix that with some white. So it's going to be mostly yellow that you're mixing up, but just adding a little bit of white to it. So then once you guys have that light yellow color mixed up, as you can see, it's going to be placed within the water, and then we're also going to be putting it throughout the sky. So I'm going to kind of start off by doing the water first, and it's kind of going to be the same method as that black. You're adding kind of small spots of it towards the front, or towards your islands, and then it's going to gradually become a little bit bigger. But if you want to adjust this at all, feel free to. You don't have to completely do these brush strokes. You guys can feel free to do whatever you feel is best and most comfortable. This is kind of the fun part, is when you are adding all these colors in the water, because you really get to make it look how you want. But I think adding the highlight colors really make the water pop a bit more, because this painting, to kind of start off, is a bit dark. So just by adding just a little bit of this yellow, you can already see that it really brightened up the painting a lot, gives it more of like a sunset feel, because yellow is important with a sunset, believe it or not. Alright guys, so once you have the yellow in your water, we're going to start working on the sky now with the clouds. So once again, I think I'm going to continue to use my smallest brush. Like I said, if I were to do this painting on a bigger canvas, you might want to use your medium round brush. So it depends what canvas that you are working on, but if you also have an 11 by 14, I'm going to recommend using a smaller brush just so you have a little bit more control. But I need to mix up a little bit more light yellow. We're going to continue with that color. So once I have that mixed up, I'm going to look at my sky, and I'm kind of just going to feel out where I want these clouds to be. There's quite a bit in the original painting. I think I'm going to add a little bit less to mine, but pretty much what you're going to want to do is keep your brush strokes kind of very free, very wispy. You're going to kind of pick spots in your sky that you want them. So I think I'm going to put one right about here, and I'm kind of doing the same thing I did with the rocks. And I'm making just a random kind of rock, cloudy shape. It almost looks exactly like how your land was drawn out. But they're just very loose. You don't need a whole lot of paint because clouds are very wispy. You don't want them to look super solid. So you're kind of just picking spots within your painting that you're adding these clouds throughout the background. And as you can see kind of with my hand, I am doing very loose strokes. It's not very controlled or anything. If you kind of want to add some in between the palm trees, like I said, you could definitely do that before you added the palm trees. I'm going to add mine after. So kind of just keeping around the areas of the palm trees, just be a little bit careful of where you're putting them. And you can very easily add the clouds afterwards. Just go on both sides and stick with the same brush stroke, same pattern. It is a cloud, so it does not have to look 100% perfect. But feel free to add as many clouds as you'd like in the sky. Right now we're just adding yellow. We will be adding purple in just a minute. But once you kind of have your clouds in the sky, you can feel free to also just add some very loose yellow brush strokes throughout the sky. As you can kind of see in this painting, they're kind of all throughout, so feel free to add those. Once again, completely up to you where you want them. If you don't want them at all, you do not have to do this step. Alright, so we are almost done with this painting, but what we're going to want to do next, after you guys have finished the yellow, we are going to add a little bit of purple to our clouds just to kind of give them a little bit of a shadow underneath so they don't just look like these yellow blobs that you put on your painting. Once again, I'm going to use my smallest brush, so make sure you give that a good rinse. If it is still a little bit wet, that's okay because you're kind of blending it in with your yellow. But once again, we're going to be making purple, but this time it's going to be a lighter purple. So that's going to be red and blue once again, kind of equal parts. You don't need a whole lot of paint that you did the first time. So if you just want to mix up a little bit of purple, once again, red and blue. And then once you do have a purple color, then you're going to splash in some white. And by adding the white, this is going to make the purple a lot lighter. Feel free to put that purple at the bottom of your clouds. Once again, this is just kind of giving it a shadow. I didn't put a whole lot on mine, just kind of dabbed it on a little bit towards the end. At this point, you can also feel free to add some light purple to your water. As you can kind of tell from this example, there's a lot more purple going on. So feel free, if you feel like you lost some of that by adding all those colors, feel free to put some purple back in. And we are at the end of the painting, so at this point, if you would like to add any other color to the water, feel free to. I think I'm going to be adding a little bit of pink. If you want, you can add some blue in there. You can add some different shades of the orange and the yellows. Feel free to do that, but just continue to kind of work on how you want your colors to look before you are completely done. So once you are completely satisfied with your painting, you've added all of the colors that you want, I highly recommend that you sign your painting somewhere. I like to sign mine just with black, kind of put my initials at the bottom corner, just to let everyone know what an amazing job you guys did. But that is the final step that I have for you guys for this painting. I'm sure your guys' looks awesome, and if they did turn out great and you guys had a good time, please feel free to share them on Facebook, on Instagram, tag us at Splash Studio. We'd love to see how your final results came. And feel free to continue to do these paintings. We have a lot of videos already online. Feel free to check those out. I know I'll be making more. Some of the other Splash employees are also wonderful artists. So feel free to keep painting these. Have a good time doing so. I hope everyone stays safe out there. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy your neon vacation painting. Thanks, guys.